Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Sunday Bible Advanced Bible Study, 24th of November, 2024. Okay, I'll be reading some out of the book of Jasher tied to Genesis 15. I was doing some research on it now. I'm going to share that at the end of the class. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, the Prophets of Awakening. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at and examine. These videos will lead you to the truth, connect dots for you, and lead you to the truth of the Holy Scripture. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. Okay, like I said, our hours of operation are Tuesday and Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. We have 2 Shabbat classes, one in the morning, 10 to 12 a.m. Central Time, and then we have we close the Shabbat out from 6 to 7 in the evening. And then we come back on Sunday, like we're doing now, from 5 to 6, normally about an hour, and just have a little dialogue and current events and connect some dots. So here we are. Okay. This is a non-Messianic channel. For those that don't know, we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our Sunday Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, a prayer, for Psalms. We have some current events. We'll do need to know information. Then we'll open it up for some Q&A, dialogue, and then we'll go into our topic, which is I'll be reading out of the book of Jasher. It's pertaining to the things that were going on with Israel in between the time that Moses left, fled, and the time that Moses returned. Okay. So with that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your great power and your wisdom. And we tarry waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers. And you, oh Lord, have directed us to who you are and your role in the goings on of heaven and earth. Okay, oh Lord, you spoke through your prophets, Isaiah, that you would help Abraham's seed, and that you have done at this point. And you have completed that promise after this day. You said, O Lord, that you will remove the darkness from around us. Tarry not, O Lord, for the latter days are here. We are waiting and watching for you. Peace be unto you. Okay. Read a song right quick. Okay, then read Psalms Psalm 22, a cry of anguish and a song of praise. It's a Psalm of David. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Why art thou so far from helping me and from thy words of my ruin? O my God, I cried in the daytime, but thou heardest not, and in the night season, and I am not silent, but thou art holy, O thou that inhabit the praises of Israel. Our fathers trusted in thee, they trusted, and thou didst deliver them. They cried unto thee, and were delivered. They trusted in thee, and were not confounded. But I am a worm, no man, a reproach of me, the despised of the people. All they that see me laugh me to scorn. They shoot out at the lip. They shake the head, saying, he trusted on the Lord, that he would deliver him. Let him deliver him, seeing he delighted in him. But thou art he that took me out of the womb. Thou didst make me hope when I was upon my mother's breast. I was cast upon thee from the womb. Thou art my God from my mother's belly. Be not far from me, for trouble is near, for there is none to help. Many bulls have compassed me, strong bulls of Bashan have beset me round. They gape upon me with their mouths as a raving and a roaring lion. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is meated in the midst of my bowels. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue cleaveth unto my jaws. And thou hast brought me into dust. Okay, thou hast brought me into the dust. Let me see where I'm at. For dogs have compassed me, and the assembly of the wicked have enclosed me and pierced my hands and my feet. I may tell all my bones, they look and stare upon me. They part my garments among them and cast lots upon my vesture. Okay. Uh, Save me from the lion's mouth, for thou hast heard me from the horns of the unicorn. I will declare thy name unto my brethren. In the midst of the congregation will I praise thee. Yet ye that hear the Lord, praise him. All ye that seek of the seed of Jacob, glorify him and fear him. All ye that seed of Israel, for he hath not despised nor abhorred the affliction of the afflicted, neither have he hid his face from him. But when he cried unto him, he heard. My praises shall be of thee in the great congregation, and I will pay my vows before them that fear him. The meek shall eat and be satisfied. They shall praise the Lord that seek him. Your heart shall live forever, and all the ends of the world shall remember and turn unto the Lord, and all the kindred of the nations shall worship before thee. For the kingdom is the Lord's, and he is the governor among the nations. All they that be fat upon the earth shall eat and worship. All they that go down to the dust shall bow before him, and none can keep alive his own soul. His seed shall serve him. It shall be accounted to the Lord for a generation. They shall come and shall declare his righteousness unto people that shall be born, that he have done this. So that was Psalms 22, right? So notice out of verse 1 is, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Why art thou so far from helping me and from the words of my ruin? So that's right out of the playbook of JC. Okay. Anybody else have any comments on that?
It said governors of the nations, right? Governor of the nations.
Right.
That stands to this day, correct?
Right. He's king of the nations.
Yes,
That's
sir.
governor. Right.
All praise.
Right. Is this song? King of Kings. Okay. We're gonna do our health moment.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. Please know that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on norovirus, also known as the winter vomiting disease or stomach bug. The norovirus infection can cause severe vomiting and diarrhea that starts suddenly and is highly contagious. They commonly spread through food or contaminated water during preparation or through contaminated surfaces. Noroviruses can also spread through close contact with the person who has a norovirus infection. Diarrhea, stomach pain, and vomiting typically begin 12 to 48 hours after exposure. Norovirus infection symptoms usually last 1 to 3 days. Norovirus infection occurs most frequently in closed and crowded environments. Examples include our workplaces, hospitals, nursing homes, childcare centers, schools, and cruise ships. Signs and symptoms of norovirus infection may start suddenly and include nausea, vomiting, stomach pain or cramps, watery or loose diarrhea, low-grade fever, and muscle pain. That means the norovirus infection can easily spread to others. The virus is shed in stool and vomit. You can spread the virus from the time you first have symptoms of illness until several days after you recover. Noroviruses can stay on surfaces and objects for days or weeks. You can get norovirus infections by eating contaminated food, drinking contaminated water, touching your hand to your mouth after your hand has been in contact with a contaminated surface or object, or being in close contact with the person who has norovirus infection. Noroviruses are difficult to kill because they can withstand hot and cold temperatures and many disinfectants. To prevent norovirus infections, wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water for at least 20 seconds to avoid contaminated food and water, including that could have been prepared by someone who was sick. Wash fruits and vegetables before eating. Cook food thoroughly. Use cautious when traveling. If you're traveling to areas with a high risk of norovirus infection, consider eating only cooked foods, drinking only hot or carbonated beverages, and avoiding foods sold by street vendors. The bottom line is that the norovirus infection is highly contagious and can be very unpleasant. I will be reading from Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27, blessings on the children of Israel. Verse 22. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Tonight's discussion was on the norovirus, also known as the winter vomiting disease or stomach bug, and I read Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Blessings on the children of Israel. Shalom, everyone.
Okay, that sounds like COVID to me, don't it? Or
Yeah, all the symptoms.
you
Yes, sir.
mean
I was,
the
excuse
jab?
me. Right, right. Yes, sir. When I was researching that, basically what they do is just give these viruses different names. It all has the same symptoms, but they give them different names. So that made me wonder, like, is that just because, they're wanting to give out different prescriptions, to
Yeah,
make this money when actually one prescription can cure, like I said, you may go to one doctor and they say, "Oh, you got the stomach virus," and somebody else may go and say, "Oh, that's the winter bug," but then they're prescribing you different prescriptions when one prescription can cure the norovirus.
right. And get some.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Right.
sir.
Okay.
Money
Yeah.
making game.
Okay.
Hey, Mr.
And
Leonard,
what you got?
when I had I don't know if people got this book, but I had bought this book before um that seed thing happened. And it's the American Medical Association um Encyclopedia of Medicine.
Right.
Over 5,000 medical terms, including symptoms, diseases, and drugs and treatments. And
Right.
I bought this book and I read and I looked up that word, that C word in this book, and it said it was a common cold.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And that's some.
Yes,
Yeah.
I purchased a lot of books too when I very first got into health. I kind of went to school for health, but in on the administrative side of it. So I was always curious about a lot of the names and the prescriptions and things like that. So, Brother Markel, I ended up buying a book on a natural, the natural remedies for a lot of these things that they are attaching names to. And again, you're going to use the same ingredients for a lot of the natural remedies that you use. They just given these infections and diseases different names because it's the money making game for the pharmaceuticals.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. And they programming us because, hey, according to Bill Gates, we got to get rid of some people, you
Yes,
know?
sir. Hmm.
So the nanobots is all in your water. They said they growing nanobots in the food and everything else. So those nanobots that was in there is in your food now.
Yes. And a lot of things we just cannot avoid because it's something in everything that we eat that is not good for our bodies.
Exactly, Michelle. And guess what? All praise the Most High. That's why we got the praise. See, even though anything that's for wicked, he'll turn it into good.
Yes, sir. Pray over that food before you put it in your mouth or before you drink anything.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to add to that. Yeah, this is like a little, let's say it's a virus out there, but let's gonna play it. Virus is spreading here inside the United States, and experts have no answers why, where it is coming from, or how this is even spreading. Today, I want to break down what's going on, which virus this is, and why this is such a big concern for people, not just here in the United States, but Canada as well, and across the world. So I'll explain all this in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So this is now turning into a serious threat, and for multiple reasons. Number one, it's a virus that is spreading around the United States, and many experts have no idea how this is happening. The second reason why this is extremely concerning is because here in the United States, many people do not trust or even believe the CDC or the World Health Organization. As a result, they don't listen to what they are saying. Now, here's what's actually happening. The first U.S. bird flu infection in a child has been confirmed by the CDC. This was just reported the other day. Now, this is the first reported case of bird flu in a child under the age of 18. Normally, if a human were to get the H5N1 bird flu, it's because they were interacting with poultry, with chickens, with turkeys, with birds, right? That's the reason why. But in this case, they have no idea how this happened. Look at this right here. It says California case is the first confirmed bird flu infection in a U.S. child. Now, I want to read a little bit of this to you because this right here, I think, in my opinion, is extremely important. Look at this right here. It says the child had mild symptoms, was treated with an antiviral medication, and is recovering. It goes on to say, state officials have said the child attends daycare and lives in Alameda County, which includes Oakland and surrounding communities, but released no other details. It says the infection brings the reported number of U.S. bird flu cases this year to 55, which 29 are in California, according to the CDC. They say most were farm workers who tested positive with mild symptoms. Now, I want to get to something else in just a moment, but here's the reason why this is such a big deal. This is spreading, right? This is a huge concern for millions of people because not only is this a deadly virus, it actually has over a 50% mortality rate. Yeah, for people that get infected, it is based off what we know, according to the CDC, says the mortality rate in bird flu in humans is high, over 50% for all known cases worldwide. This means half of all people diagnosed with bird flu die from it. Yeah, it's a deadly virus if it goes untreated. But not only is this a virus, one of the things that people are concerned with, and from an economic standpoint, is if we see this, the H5N1 bird flu gets around and spreads. The problem is we're going to have to cull chickens, turkeys, right? We're in some cases cows. Cattle has been pretty much eliminated in certain areas, right? Farms have been decimated, and that's causing egg prices go up, chicken prices go up, pork is going up because now we know that pigs are getting it,
And pigs are very similar to humans, especially how our systems operate. And that's concerning as well. Now,
anybody heard anything about that?
Shalom. Yes, sir, not the California case, but something that was going on in Idaho with that. And I wasn't quite understanding, how do you quarantine dairies? You know what I'm saying? Besides, like they do us, if you're sick, you know how you quarantine, you're gonna separate people, right? So
Right.
this bird flu all of a sudden is now in cows,
Okay.
and the milk and things. That's what I mean by nothing is safe.
Right.
It's always some type of cross contamination when it comes to things. Like now it's a recall on hamburger meat, like over 150,000 pounds of hamburger meat, on carrots, on peanut butter. I mean, it's constantly a recall on something. So when you go to the store and you're purchasing something, you never know, the next day or the same day they could put out, a recall on that product.
Exactly.
It's really becoming too much to deal with day-to-day life and your health, and the way that you are preparing your food. It's like it's not really safe to purchase too much of anything.
Exactly. Right. It's all because of they messing with the genetics. Actually, what the creator set in motion of what a plant gonna do and all that stuff. They messing with that, just like they messing with the human genome too. Like a prime example is what the angels did when they came down. That's not the same DNA strand that's in Adam's DNA that's in what the angels did. It's different, and so that's where the disease and sickness is coming in at, because of the creator, what he created, and all that ain't happening. That's one of the reasons he told us not to intermingle with them, because that it was subject. The DNA that came from those angels and those giants. But Adam's sentence was good, because like I said, when he made him, he said it was good. He said Noah was perfect in his generation. These people trying to make cuts off of the original, trying to, when it comes to money, make more money off of something and try to, make it, multiply.
Right,
But
tamper
it's
with
not
it,
right.
right.
They're tampering with it, and that's where the sickness is coming in at, because it's not authentic, like when the creator made it. It's causing problems. Oh yeah, ain't there something? So, anybody else got anything on that? Kind of extended that health moment. Okay, we'll go to some current events, right? Look at this. Okay.
And Russia has reached a turning point. Washington's green light to Kiev to use American long-range weapons on Russian territory represents a critical turning point in the war. According to breaking news, the ATAC-MS missile has reached Russian territory. But what was the target of these ballistic missiles? What are the consequences of the first use of US weapons on Russian soil? In this article, we will shed light on the latest developments and reach the answers to our questions. In a first, the Ukrainian armed forces hit the arsenal of the 1046th Logistics Center near the city of Karachov in the Bryansk region with US-made ATACMS ballistic missiles. The arsenal is located 114 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, near a city of 20,000 inhabitants. The total area of the depot is about 3.5 square kilometers. The arsenal contained artillery ammunition, North Korean systems, guided aerial bombs, anti-aircraft missiles, and ammunition for MLRS. The equipment at the military facility was a godsend for Ukraine. Ukraine has long targeted arsenals to undermine Russian war logistics. In this context, the facility in Karachov perfectly matched Kiev's goals. The Ukrainian military fired 6 ATACMS missiles. As of Oro 2:30, 12 secondary explosions and 1 detonation were recorded in the target area. As a result of the attack, red flames rising from the arsenal pierced the darkness of the sky. The Russian Defense Ministry claimed that the military shot down 5 ATACMS fired by Ukraine and damaged 1. Involvement in this war, but it is unclear how this belated and limited approach will achieve this. Moreover, both Ukraine and Russia's moves seem to have rattled investors, causing them to rush to buy the safest assets, government bonds and traditional safe haven currencies such as the Japanese yen and Swiss franc rose. The yield on US treasuries fell by at least 6 to 7 basis points across the curve. Increasing pressure on the agenda for a peace settlement between the parties. Donald Trump's election victory has fueled fresh speculation about the possibility of a negotiated settlement to the Russo-Ukrainian war, while Russian President Vladimir Putin has once again emphasized his insistence on Ukraine's neutrality. This is nothing new. Since the eve of the full-scale invasion, the Kremlin has been consistent in its calls for Ukraine's permanent neutrality. The status of neutrality was a key condition put forward by the Kremlin during the failed peace talks in the first weeks of the war. It came to the fore once again when Putin put forward an updated peace proposal in June 2024. Many in the international community see Putin's push for a neutral Ukraine as by far his most reasonable demand.
So I don't know if anybody heard it or not, but when Biden gave Ukraine to go ahead to shoot those missiles, all hell and broke loose. And now they talking about doing something with Biden, getting rid of him. We still got 30, 40 days. And he said the decision he made right here on this, allowing Ukraine to shoot those missiles, all hell and broke loose. Anybody heard anything on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
It's all right, Tasha. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I had also heard that the breaking news about him allowing them to use him, but I hadn't heard anything about them trying to get him to step aside or step down. And I don't see how they would do that now that they done passed this law that saying that the president who's the current president can make decisions that would not be illegal while they're president. So I don't see how they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I heard that. Well, I seen a video from the news thing that they trying to impeach him. Not only get rid of him, they want to impeach him and take him off.
Right.
They want him gone right now. So if he's gone, then guess what?
The girl come in.
Exactly. So who wins it? And then a war break out, and then what happens? She stayed.
Right.
They've been talking about this ever since the election was over with, that he should step down and allow Harris to finish it out. But yeah, so they're doing the most. Okay. So let me give you something else right here. So right here, this is another one that came up. So it's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Some gonna hit the fan before it's over. So let's check out this.
In a thunderous display of unity, Arab and Islamic leaders gathered at a historic summit in Riyadh, demanding Israel's expulsion from the United Nations. They denounced Israel's actions in Gaza as genocide, pressing for drastic action in response to what they describe as an ongoing massacre. This unprecedented move sees Arab nations drawing a hard line against Israel's military operations and calling for a full withdrawal from occupied territories since 1967. Convened by the Arab League and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the summit saw Saudi Crown.
This shouldn't surprise nobody, because in their playbook, what my man wrote, Albert Pike, the last World War was going to be between the Arabs and Israel and the West. So this shouldn't be this, like I said, this they playbook unfolded.
Prince Mohammed bin Salman deliver a scorching condemnation of Israeli operations in Gaza and Lebanon, branding them as genocide and demanding an immediate halt to the violence.
This summit is being held as an extension of the previous joint summit in light of the continued sinful Israeli attacks on the brotherly Palestinian people and the expansion of the scope of these attacks on the sisterly Lebanese Republic. The kingdom renews its condemnation and categorical rejection of the genocide committed by Israel against the brotherly Palestinian people, which has claimed the lives of 150,000 martyrs, wounded and missing, most of whom are women and children.
Malaysian Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim didn't mince words, joining global calls to suspend or expel Israel from the UN, calling Israel's actions a vile and blatant genocide.
Israel no longer belongs within the civilized community of nations, and its barbarism demands nothing less than decisive action to safeguard not just the Middle East, but the entire global order. 50 years ago, the world was so horrified by the atrocities in South Africa that the United Nations General Assembly took the unprecedented step of denying its government a seat of the assembly. Israel, however, has gone beyond the pain, beyond reason, beyond humanity itself in its vile and blatant perpetration of genocide of the people of Palestine. This cumulative acts of violence against an entire nation leaves us with no choice but to demand the swift and effective action of the international community, including embargo, suspension, and even expulsion in its relentless campaigns.
Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Gheit backed up the stance, calling a freeze on Israel's membership a crucial first step in holding Israel accountable for its crimes.
There is a paragraph in this text that I find very important and vital, a paragraph that talks about moving before the General Assembly to freeze Israel's membership. This is a step. I mean, I don't know if I'm exaggerating. It is a major step in the quest to put things right. If Israel had obtained the right to membership from the General Assembly in 1949 by Resolution 181, today, the Islamic group and the Arab group are two organizations moving before the international community, and I'm confident that there are many countries that will support the idea of freezing membership.
Is that something? Any comments on that?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So here goes some need to know information. I don't know if anybody know this, but yeah. Right now, as we speak, Israel being bombarded. A lot of people don't keep it out of the news. But
this is why your blood sugar spikes and feet burns.
Check it out.
Hezbollah will come now. Hezbollah is also striking effective blows. Yes, its weapons and ammunition are not comparable to Israel's, but there is footage of it hitting the city of Nahariya with missiles. Let's start with that, and then we'll look at the others.
So you got there what I just.
The weaponry present here.
You got there what I just played. The Arab warden came against them, want them kicked out of the UN. Right now, as we speak, it
belongs to Hezbollah.
Most of the Israelis down in bunkers. It's being bombarded.
And the montage. Take a look at this. They are launching kamikaze man defense vehicles. These vehicles are not designed to return. Instead, they explode upon impact due to a bomb that they carry. It has been observed that their air defense systems are particularly ineffective against these vehicles. Missiles and rockets, on the other hand, are more discernible in terms of visibility. However, Israel lacks a robust air defense system to counter them. Now, let's examine this missile launcher, which consists of multiple barrels capable of launching rockets. How many are there? It seems like 12 on one side, 12 on the other, and 6 in the middle. That makes it a total of 30 firing simultaneously. This signals the creation of a system that can launch missiles consecutively.
So that's happening right now as we speak. And then based on what Biden done, This is what Putin doing right here.
By the way, don't forget that Putin is speaking live right now, and he says that if we use hypersonic missiles in Ukraine, we will warn civilians. We have the right to use any kind of weapon against those who attack us.
They already
Here,
used
we need to open this issue against those who attack us. Because from this moment on, since he considers NATO countries as parties, there is a continuation of the statement. Let me quickly add. And now the Russians have the latest missiles.
Does he mean if we use nuclear weapons or hypersonic missiles?
No, hypersonic.
Isn't
We
that
will
nuclear?
warn civilians if we use hypersonic missiles. That's the exact wording. The responsibility for the escalation lies with America. America made a mistake by violating the treaty to eliminate long-range missiles. They have moved their missile systems to various parts of the world. Putin also said that Russia would allow civilians in Ukraine and citizens of other friendly countries to leave potential attack zones in advance, he said.
Could there be a technical error there?
Calling all inconsistent traders. If you've tried trading with alerts,
Initiating a war. What if I happen to apprehend you at that location? Your soldiers. If I catch him, it's a declaration of war. Then what are you doing?
It's classified.
It's
Or
not.
you make something up.
You make them resign. You make him resign. And then you send the personnel as something. You field them through private mercenary military companies. When they ask, there's a private mercenary. The mission ends, he comes back, you recruit him again. You're re-enlisting.
So Putin warned that any time a missile strike could, U.S. or U.K. can receive a missile strike because of what they allowed Ukraine to do with those missiles. So that's where we at. But you wouldn't know that in the news. CNN and all that. You wouldn't know that. Okay.
I seen the video, Mr. Leonard, of we have to look it up. I gotta go find it. But Putin said that he was gonna release or save the black people from America. He was. Have you seen a video like that?
No, it's recently.
Yeah, I just seen it earlier today. They
I
said
saw
a
that.
video of him. You saw it?
I saw that same video. I sent it to Michelle. Yeah, I didn't know where that came from. It's just something that just popped up on TikTok today.
Yeah, I need to look at that. I need to see that. Yeah, okay. No, I hadn't heard
Because
that.
hey, what Hitler did, right? Hitler said that even in my death, did you see that video?
Yeah,
He
I saw
said,
that.
even in my death, the world, I'm going to win the world. He's going to rule it because he's going to say, he's going to beef with America and say that they holding God's jewelry.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Ain't that something? It was all he even came out with some more black stuff too.
Yeah, and the reason why I said that was because, like you were saying, America not going to come save you. That's not the one that's going to bring you out. Either China or Russia. We say China, but they coming to get us.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
You're playing out.
Yeah.
So,
because I mean, they love it. They love us more than America. And anybody want to vote for Trump or Kamala. Don't matter. The Most High said we always try to seek out a leader.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why they keep us involved.
Right. Exactly. Like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all that. And yeah. It did something. And we'll open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything before we go into the lesson? Anything you want to talk about? Anything you heard? Okay. So this is my final nail in the coffin, talking about Israel and everything that's happening. They're having a bad week. Play this right here. I talked about this yesterday.
the International Criminal Court at The Hague
has officially applied for arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel's former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, charging them with war crimes and crimes against humanity. This is absolutely a historic decision that has caused a political explosion in the West. In fact, it has divided the Western alliance. The United States and a small handful of allies are attacking the International Criminal Court known as the ICC, and the US government is threatening sanctions on ICC officials. However, many Western governments are actually speaking out in support of the ICC, including the governments of the UK, Canada, Australia, and several European states. So the West is dividing over Israel. And meanwhile, some top US senators are threatening to invade The Hague in the Netherlands to attack the International Criminal Court. And other US senators are threatening sanctions not only on the ICC, but also on Western allies. They're threatening sanctions on the UK, on Canada, on European countries.
So to any ally, Canada, Britain, Germany, France, if you try to help the ICC, we're going to sanction you.
So this decision is having huge political repercussions, which I'll be discussing today. But first, I want to talk about what exactly Israel has been doing in Gaza. The United Nations created a special committee in order to investigate, and they concluded this November that Israel is a G crime, the worst crime a state can commit. The UN Special Committee said, quote, Israel's warfare in Gaza is consistent with the characteristics of G-side, with mass civilian casualties and life-threatening conditions intentionally imposed on Palestinians there, end quote. They added, quote, since the beginning of the war, Israeli officials have publicly supported policies that strip Palestinians of the very necessities required to sustain life, food, water, and fuel, end quote. They said that Israel has been carrying out systematic and unlawful interference with humanitarian aid, blocking aid from going in. And they added that, quote, through its siege over Gaza, obstruction of humanitarian aid, alongside targeted attacks and killings of civilians and aid workers, Israel is intentionally causing death, starvation, and serious injury, using starvation as a method of war and inflicting collective punishment on the Palestinian population, end quote. Those are the words of the United Nations published on the official website of the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. And even the top human rights organization inside Israel itself, which is called B'Tselem, the Israeli Information Center for Human Rights in the occupied territories, they have said very clearly that the Israeli regime is trying to ethnically cleanse the northern part of Gaza, expelling the indigenous Palestinians and colonizing their land so they can never go back. This was also the conclusion of the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. He said that Israel is trying to ethnically cleanse Gaza, and he called for the world to act to stop it. And this is why the decision by the ICC to apply for an arrest warrant for top Israeli officials is so important and so historic, because the ICC has a long history of extreme bias. In fact, until 2016, as the Los Angeles Times newspaper noted, the ICC had basically only charged Africans, former African leaders, for the worst crimes at the court. So this is why many people in Africa and the Global South saw the ICC basically as a tool of the Western colonial powers and condemned it as the International Colonial Court. So this is why it was a matter of reputation. If the ICC didn't take action, well, Israel was carrying out blatant crimes against humanity and the crime of G-side. If they didn't do something to try to stop it, then the ICC would have been permanently discredited. By the way,
okay, any comments so far on that? What do you think about that?
Hey, blood got to be shed. That's what we said in scriptures. Blood got to be shed in Israel, right? All over that place.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Try a little more of this. Okay.
are. But what's interesting is that the US government is so extreme and so fanatical that it's actually alienating some of its own allies in the West. For instance, Australia's government has come out against the US and said that Australia will respect the decisions of the ICC. Even Canada, the northern neighbor of the US, which is so subservient to Washington, it's often jokingly referred to as the 51st US state. But even Canada's government of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said that it will respect the decisions of the ICC. It will abide by the arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. The UK has said the same thing. The British government said it will comply with the arrest warrant for Netanyahu. So here you can see that the almighty Anglo-American alliance is breaking apart on this specific issue, on Israel. The US can no longer even pressure its closest allies, Canada, Australia, and the UK, to go along with it in attacking the International Criminal Court, because they can see how crazy and how extreme and fanatical that is, and how much damage it would do to them politically on the international stage. They can't talk about supporting democracy and human rights and the rules-based order when they're openly attacking the International Criminal Court. I mean, even these hypocritical governments, which are deeply hypocritical and imperialist in their own right, even they have a line that they can no longer cross. So what is the response of some US government officials? Well,
hey, Mr. Leonard, they hate the whore.
Okay. What's that?
They hate the whore.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's total opposite from what they told us coming up in Sunday school and all that. That see, what we looking at, what they got us thinking, the people that's over there is the woman, the Most High's bride, but actually it's the harlot. So we see it playing out now, because he said that at the very end, all nations was going to turn against the harlot. And that's what we're looking at. But they got us, the whole world, fooled that these are real people. Is there something?
All praise.
Right.
Graham openly called for suffocating the economies of US allies like the UK and Canada and Australia and some European countries. He said the US should impose sanction.
So you see what he's doing, right? It's the Lord of hosts. He's doing what he always did. Like he did to the Syrian army. He turned all these nutbuggers against each other.
On their closest allies and suffocate their economies in order to attack the ICC and protect the Israeli colonial regime. Listen to this insane clip of the Republican senator and Donald Trump ally, Lindsey Graham.
So to any ally, Canada, Britain, Germany,
Ally.
France, if you try to help the ICC, we're going to sanction you.
Well, that means I want every ally, and you saw little Justin in Canada and his position. What should the penalty be?
We should crush your economy because we're next.
Think about how crazy that is. Top US officials are threatening to economically suffocate their closest allies. I mean, if this is how the US treats its allies, imagine how barbaric the US regime is with its adversaries. Of course, we don't really need to imagine that. We can see the invasions and coup attempts and sanctions and economic war and other regime change operations and unconventional war that the US wages against countries all around the world. But this is how they treat their own allies. Well, what about the European Union, another major US ally? Well, top EU officials have also said that they will abide by the ICC arrest warrants. The EU's de facto foreign minister, Josep Borrell, has maintained that ICC warrants are legally binding and the EU cannot pick and choose. And actually come out publicly and attack the ICC and said that it will invite Netanyahu to visit is Hungary. And this shows that the US is the ally of the far right around the world. And this is not even with Donald Trump in power. I mean, when Trump comes in power, of course, he's going to continue supporting far right and extreme groups around the world. But Biden and Harris are in the White House, and the Democrats are in government right now, and they're in alliance with the far right, with people like Viktor Orban, saying that we hate the ICC, we support Israel, and we will attack the ICC. This is Washington's main ally right now in Europe.
Right. And so like I said yesterday, showing you right here, don't matter what party in there, they all the same. Got two different storefronts with the same owner. Okay. So yeah, I was gonna deal with the book of Joshua about Isaiah, Genesis 15, but I'm gonna wait and use that for Tuesday, for my class on Tuesday, because I need to put a little more on that, get it straight before I deal with it. Anybody have any other questions or comments about anything before we close out? We right at an hour.
Shalom. I just think it's interesting to see how they are turning among themselves. It's like a den of thieves. As long as they all getting something and they feel like, all parties are pulling their weight, they all in agreement. But that's suddenly crashing down and they're turning on themselves, dog eat dog.
Right. So like I was saying before, this is one of the things how you know that it is the Lord of hosts. That it's not, they want you to think it's Yahweh, and Yahweh had a son hidden with Jesus. But right here is an example. When at the Tower of Babel, Michael, Lord of hosts, came down, right? And what did he do to those nations that were building the tower?
Confusion of face. They couldn't even speak the same language.
Turn in against each other. That's doing the same thing now. Ain't nothing different. That's one of his characteristics. Like I said, that 185,000 man army that came to the gates of Jerusalem. He told Hezekiah, for them, whatever y'all gonna do, you better do it between 9 in the morning, because we're gonna party out here and we're gonna break dance, and then in the morning we coming in and tear it down. And that night, the Lord of hosts came amongst them and caused them all to start fighting with each other. By the time the morning came, they had killed each other.
And you said we went out there and went in their pockets. That's all we had to do.
Yeah, the gold,
yes,
and diamonds, and everything in them tents. And the Israelites just went out there and checked their pockets. That was it. There ain't nothing we gotta do. We looking at our enemy being dismantled right in front of our face. Okay. Anybody got anything else? Okay. Shalom.